Good evening and welcome to Fort Wayne Community Schools Board of School Trustees meeting. We begin this meeting as we do each meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now we have roll call of members.
Good evening, Steve Corona from the 5th District.
Good evening, Antoinette Payne, District 4.
Julie Hollingsworth, District 1.
Noah Smith, District 3.
Jennifer Mathias, District 2.
And Ann Duff is not with us this evening. To my left, we have Dr. Mark Daniel, Superintendent, Fort Wayne Community Schools, and Angie Filler, Clerk of the Board, and I'm Maria Norman, Member at Large. This evening, we start with the Martin Luther King Jr. Essay Contest. Can you scroll down? I'm sorry. No, you're fine. Yes, okay. It is recommended that the board recognize Kikianga Middle School student Logan Cross for winning second place in the statewide Martin Luther King Jr. Essay Contest. The Martin Luther King Jr. Essay Contest is sponsored by the Indiana Association of School Principals and Ball State University. Students were asked to write their essay based on the following MLK quote: "We must accept finite disappointment, but never lose infinite hope." Logan's essay was picked by a faculty committee at Ball State University out of a field of over 150 entries. His award came with a $300 prize. Please come forward so that we can congratulate you. Logan Cross, 8th grade student. Candace, is it Dano, ELA teacher, and Trisha Brooks, principal. Congratulations.
Don't spend all that money in one place, Logan.
College fund, right?
Okay.
Is it possible we can get
Copy of it.
manage to get a copy of that somehow to read? Yes.
Yep, love
Love
it.
that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll get it for you.
Yeah, Angie can
got
go
it.
through the principal.
Thanks, Angie.
Thanks, Angie. Next up is our consent agenda, approval of minutes from the meeting held on March 24th, vouchers and payrolls, vouchers for the period ending April 7th and 28th, and payroll and supplemental pays for the periods ending March 7 and 21 and April 4th, 2025, and the personnel report. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks, Julie. Dr. Daniel, you have comments?
After.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Dr. Daniel.
So, have a rather lengthy personnel report for you, update. So, I'd like to start first of all with our high school scenarios. Again, you just approved these appointments, so we do have a new high school principal for Northrop High School. And I see Rob in the back there, Rob Robinson. Rob Robinson. I also see his little one there too, and his wife, so that's one. So, Rob currently serves as an assistant principal at Northrop High School, joined the district in 2006 as a social studies teacher at Northrop. 2013, he became an assistant principal at Wayne High School. Some of the characteristics of Mr. Robinson: data-driven, focused on teacher and student success, and highly recommended from the staff and faculty at Northrop, as well as current principal Adam Swinford. Just a little bit of background there. As we had interviews, again, trying to focus on what's the QIT team, what's their focus, what are they driving. Again, highly recommended. And he happened to be one of my students at Leo Junior Senior High School. So we won't hold that against him. So, hey, so introduce your family. Who do you have there? Yeah, come on up.
This is my wife, Melissa, my better half.
Hi, Melissa.
This is Ray. Say hi, Ray.
Hi. Hi. So, yes, welcome to the principalship role. And I think, yep, again, we look at Northrop and what's happening in that space, and very excited to have Rob. Rob's sort of been double dutying right now, filling in not just as a 260, but also doing some of work in regards to the guidance department. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. So the next introductions are sort of in a combination of this person's here, but also connected there. So Mary Canary, Director of Elementary Education. So Mary, if you'd stand. Mary and her, I'll just say her partner at Levon Scott. She has been joined, first of all, Fort Wayne Community Schools in 1989 as a teacher at Lincoln Elementary, and then worked at Irwin and Bloomingdale before taking a short leave. Returned to Fort Wayne Community Schools in 2007 as an interventionist and building coach at Lincoln. Moved to Forest Park, served as assistant principal. 2013, she was named principal at Lindley Elementary School before taking the same position at Irwin Steam Magnet Elementary. And as you know, with her years at Irwin, she moved that to one of our top performing elementary schools. Most recently, she's been at Levon Scott. And it's not here, it's not written here, but I'll just add, with the help of Ashley Simpson, who we're going to introduce in a short moment, that building has shown remarkable growth, both academically as well as culturally, as they work with the group across the street, the Bridge of Grace and the Love Our Schools partnership. I'll say that is one of the reasons, I'm sure Dr. Brown has said, we need Mary to spread her influence to other schools across our district. And that's what we want. So I love to tell the story. Can I actually say this? Is this not published? Am I?
We don't know.
Can I say something about the? So, Mary, why don't you just say it? Where were you? Where were you? No, you're quarantined too. Oh, what the heck? So, was it 56% compared to where you are today, or what was the number?
We grow nearly 30%.
Nearly 30% growth in iRead scores in 1 year. Preliminary data. Preliminary. So again, they make sure I stay out of trouble. But I'll just say, no, I've never heard of that kind of growth. But great intentionality, great partnering with community, volunteers, tutoring students. When we put our mind to it, phenomenal things happen. So we expect none less of the schools that she'll be working with in the next several years. So welcome, Mary. Thank you.
Congratulations.
So while she's been there, she's also been mentoring, and we've been following closely the leadership of Ashley Simpson. So Ashley, if you'd stand. Ashley will now be Levon Scott's Academy Principal. So a little bit about Ashley. She joined Fort Wayne Community Schools in 2012 as a teacher at Washington Elementary, moved to Holland where she taught until 2021. She then became the assistant principal at Levon Scott Academy and will now serve as the school's principal. Again, she's dialed in and focusing on closing the achievement gap and maintaining positive school culture. Very hard shoes to fill, but Mary has assured us that actually you are ready for this. You are going to continue to see growth. we do see Levon Scott as one of our schools with the greatest potential of increase in enrollment as well. Again, the relationships you're building in the community are second to none. So I think that building is in excellent hands, and we really appreciate your leadership and ready to step into this role. Thank you.
Dr. Daniel, I see more people in a paparazzi with her than I have. Principal Simpson, do you want to introduce your clan too?
Yeah, you want to introduce your family?
The whole crew of us, we celebrate big. We do all my favorites. My mom, my dad, my cousin, my daughter, my best friend, my favorite cousin. My uncle stepped out with my favorite uncle, and my girls back there, they have my back. So I appreciate you guys being my village as we conquer this new
Yeah.
journey.
Awesome. Mayor, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask. So you got anybody here? Okay. Yeah, we have some support. Yeah. So one of the things, and you know, we've had some people, and I've had an exit interview with one of our current directors, and she was firm in this. She said, "Thank you, Dr. Brown, for returning us to some directors of elementary ed." And you know, as you've looked across the state in regards to what's happening budget-wise, we know we had to do some things. So we've had to shift some people here, there, and be creative. Net is, though, it is still within our budget. It is probably one of the greatest needs we have, because if we don't move students from their pre-K to third grade, it becomes monumentally more difficult. So with that said, we're also asking Sarah Wertman. She's going to be Director of Elementary Education as well. So Sarah, if you'd please stand. So Sarah started her education at Garrett as a special ed teacher in 1992. The following year, she was hired by Fort Wayne Community Schools special ed teacher at Weiser Park. In 2011, she became the principal of Waynedale Elementary, and 2 years later moved to the principal position at Brentwood. In 2018, became the principal at Forest Park Elementary. Now, a little story about Sarah. When I first came and returned to Fort Wayne Community Schools, I walked through Forest Park Elementary, and she said, "Hey, I just want to let you know we have some amazing things happening in this building, and we have an amazing teacher who is using a technique that, well, please don't tell anybody because we shouldn't be doing this." But the outcome for those students, I believe they're kindergarten students, they were up and down and totally engaged, and their progress with that teacher in regards to meeting standards and reaching competency was phenomenal. Again, that's the kind of leader we need, a person who's going to be willing to take a risk, take a chance, make things happen for the benefit of kids. And sometimes, I hate to say this, superintendents get in the way, and maybe I'm hoping I'm not one of those at this point in time, but we all tend to do that, and we need to reflect on what's working in our buildings, listening to our assistant superintendents, listening to our principals, and Sarah's one of those. So we find her now serving as a director, and are you Tier 2? Okay, so you'll be focusing Tier 2 primarily. So again, with that focus, our goal is to be above and beyond the state average in regards to literacy. So I read, again, we're putting a lot of focus, just definitely intentionality and focus, but I think we're going to reach that number. And at first, Joe said, give me 10 years. I told him I'll give you 5, and now I'm thinking, okay, this might be in 3 years. So we continue to move that dial, and I'm appreciative of a person such as yourself and your leadership. Do you have anyone you'd like to introduce? No? Okay. Yes. Welcome.
Congratulations.
Cicely Chandler, Forest Park Elementary Principal. Congratulations. I don't have a lot of stories on you because you're fresh, new. But I can see that, you started in 1997 at Kroninger Elementary School, teaching 4th grade. I'm trying to think, 1997, I may have had some kids there at that time. She then taught at East Allen County Schools. Okay, that's all right. Before becoming the principal, we were there together, yeah. Before becoming the principal at Holy Cross Lutheran School in 2007. She returned to Fort Wayne Community Schools in 2019, so you've seen both non-pubs as well as pubs, and has served as assistant principal at Fairfield Elementary, Weiser Park, and Forest Park. So, with that said, I think that brings a different perspective for us, and as we know, and as everyone knows, we're in an age of we compete for each and every student. And we just came out of a special education workshop. It's amazing what we provide in Fort Wayne Community Schools, serving the needs of our kids. And we need to figure out how to spread that message in a greater way, and maybe you can help us reach those families. Because I really do look at pre-K to 3rd grade, where can you get the services, where can you get the programs, second to none, in my opinion, in Fort Wayne area. So maybe you can help us with that. Welcome. So, Tamara Mullins, also Director of Elementary Ed, which I believe you're going to be focusing on magnet programs, are you not?
Magnet and specialty.
And specialty programs. Very good. So I do have a little bit of information on Tamara as well, because I have grandkids there at Bunch. And I can tell you, she began her career as a substitute in FWCS in 1991, later hired as a teacher, taught at Washington, Fairfield, Waynedale Elementary Schools, became the principal at Bunch in 2003, then moved to Tolles in 2006, same position, then returned to Bunch 10 years later. Again, if you look at our Bunch Montessori program, I don't think there is a better program if you're looking at Montessori, if you're looking at that type of program. And I did it, I think it was just was it a week ago last Monday?
Yes.
Week ago last Monday, we had Grandparents' Day at Bunch. I want to say,
We were packed.
you were packed. And Tamara, I think that speaks to your leadership. You're very open-armed. I want parents, grandparents. We want to make this I'll just say a school that invites all and says to all, you're welcome. And I know you had over 250 plus, you may have been in the 300s. But again, unbelievable program. No one can match our Montessori program. No one can match our Montessori program. And again, her emphasizing we need teachers that are highly skilled, highly trained. She helps facilitate that. And we're looking at other programs across Fort Wayne Community Schools, specialty programs or magnet programs that are going to draw more students, more families. And I think that's very, very important, and you're going to be an excellent person in that. Thank you. Alexandra Trevino, also known as Alex, has agreed to move from, I'll say, an outstanding school where you've led that school since 2019, which is Maplewood Elementary, to Fairfield Elementary as Fairfield's elementary principal. Now, we've had a former Fort Wayne Community Schools principal be basically intermediary for this year. Jana Ankenbrook, who many of you know, Jana Ankenbrook. So she's retiring for the second time. But again, this is a very interesting building. Interesting because that is such an important part of our community, and drawing those students and families to Fairfield with I'll just say a wide range of student diversity, wide range of needs, but so important for our downtown. So very important for downtown. I think, Alex started her career at Indianapolis Public Schools Special Ed, 2007, joined Fort Wayne Community Schools 2 years later as special ed teacher at Forest Park Elementary. Something about Forest Park. She then taught 2nd and 3rd grade at Lindley, before assistant principal at Weiser Park Elementary School, and since 2019 served as principal at Maplewood Elementary. And another one of those buildings I love to go into because of the culture at Maplewood. You feel as if the teachers are very much a team, a lot of support from the community, and I see this happening at Fairfield Elementary underneath your leadership. She also serves on what we call what are we calling that? I'll just say culture AIP, as one of our elementary representatives. Again, making this, what she's established at Maplewood, how do you make that happen across the district? So thank you for your leadership. Now, I don't know this gentleman, but I'm anxious to meet him. Now, he's sitting right behind you, right? So, Aaron Eastham, if you'd stand, please. Principal, Maplewood Elementary. Welcome. So, she must not have taken me into your classroom. I apologize for her not taking me into your classroom. But anyway, he began his career in 2009 at Kokomo Center Schools. There he taught at Petite Park Elementary and Head Start. In 2014, came to Fort Wayne Community Schools to teach 3rd grade at Maplewood. And so you've been there for 11 years. Wow. He's also been the building coach at Maplewood in 2023. And I'm very interested in what you'll add to that school. Again, you've had a wonderful mentor and a model, so we see that continuing. Looking forward to your leadership. And again, don't hesitate to ask Alex for assistance. Thank you. By the way, just to make sure, do you have any family or support you want me to introduce? Okay, all right. Melissa Plum. So, Whitney Young STEAM Early Childhood and Weiser Park STEAM Elementary Principal. And you're going, wait a minute. Don't look at me, look at this guy. He's the one. So, she joined us in 1998, special ed teacher. 2014, became assistant principal at Haley Elementary. Became principal at Whitney Young in 2016. Oh, there's the connection. I see. And she's been 5 years later was named principal at Weiser Park Elementary School. So she's been both Weiser Park and Whitney Young. The combination seems like, I'm sure you'll have some assistance in that area, but.
Ann was a student at both places.
Ann was a student at both places. So I'll just say that she'll oversee both schools, establishing a more connected school community, enhancing the transition from one building to the next for students and families, and continuing to strengthen the STEAM curriculum from pre-K through 5th grade. And yes, she started at Weiser Park actually in 1982 when she was a 1st grade student. Wow. Yeah, well, you're still a lot younger than we are. Anyway, so if you've ever been in Weiser Park and seen what she's been able to do as far as community participation, the enthusiasm of the students, the engagement of the students, also the faculty and staff. I think I had a BYOC recently, may have been towards the winter time, with your staff. That is one of our shining stars as well. And you have continued to make that so. I'm thrilled to see you now as a leader of both buildings and continuing the tradition of Weiser Park, but also that's feeder. And hopefully we can also, you're already probably at capacity or near capacity because it is one of our programs that has waiting lists. So again, I think what the board has challenged us, how do you make these buildings that are at capacity, how do you make other buildings move to capacity? So again, loving your input, loving your leadership, and looking forward for you continuing that. So thank you. Candace, is it Deisler? Is Candace here? So I'll just say this. Candace Deisler is now Director of Health and Wellness. So Candace started her nursing career 18 years ago with 13 of those years dedicated at Fort Wayne Community Schools. She started with the district in 2011 as a substitute school nurse and became full-time a year later. She has served as nurse coordinator at FWCS, overseeing more than 70 health and wellness staff members. Driven by passion for student health, wellness, innovation, and staff development. As the Director of Health and Wellness, Candace replaces Mary Hess, who is retiring. So I'm hoping Candace never has to experience COVID. I'm hoping she never has to experience measles and whatever else is happening out there in our community. But she has been part of that process. So I think we're in excellent hands. And those are all the new, or I should say, administrative adjustments and additions.
Yeah. Congratulations. to everybody.
Congratulations, everybody. So my boss just said you are free to go. You don't have to stay here. But Scott, are you going to try to get a picture?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
Scott's going to get a picture here. So you can't go just yet. We need the little ones too. Where are you going to do it, Scott? Up here?
I think Rob's already.
Rob's with one of the kids.
He'll be back. Oh, there he is. There he is.
They still look also young, huh?
Mm-hmm.
You want to be in the picture?
No, I'm too old to be in the picture. They're too young. I think you got everybody get pictures? You got them? Okay. Congratulations and welcome.
And my computer is falling asleep. Awesome. Oh, there it goes.
Darn, there goes our audience.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought we were popular.
There is a trip to Belize coming up for all those leaving. But we don't blame you for leaving.
Open's paid, go
Yeah,
celebrate. Yep, go celebrate.
Oh, you must be staying for the Barcelona trip.
I was supposed to tell you.
Okay. Go ahead. We have no old business, so we move to new business. Steve, can you do item A, please?
I can.
Thank you.
It's recommended the board approve an 8-day Southside High School trip to Belize beginning June 22nd, and this is in 2027. This trip will give students an opportunity to work with local and global organizations to learn and assist in conservation efforts in different small communities in that country. The students will participate in hands-on sustainable farming, aid, and also experience local snorkeling with marine life, visit local Mayan ruins. The cities to be visited during this trip include Belize City, Punta Gorda, the Cayo region, Tobacco Calle, and South Coastal, the towns where they will see ancient Mayan archaeological sites and also visit a local sustainable farm. The trip is open to all Southside students in grades 9 through 12. There's going to be a fundraising opportunity, actually several of them, and support other ways to help pay for the trip. Katie Shepard from Southside, and Zach Harrell, I saw him in the hallway, there he is, are here to answer any other questions. I can speak in the native language, which happens to be English. But I know they also speak Spanish, and I checked this out, Creole French, I believe, down there.
Thanks, Steve. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move to approve.
Second.
Thanks, Noah. Thanks, Jen. Any questions for Katie or Principal Harrell?
How many kids are you looking to take and adults? Hint, hint. And what do you think the cost is, if you don't mind, at the microphone? And how long a trip?
8 days. And then the student price is a little bit cheaper than our adult price. Students are $46.49, and then our adults, extra chaperones, would be $53.79. Right now, I'm obviously scheduled to go, and then we have another teacher who happens to be my brother, Thomas Shepard, scheduled to go.
Oh, the shepherd.
Yeah. But hopefully we're looking to take somewhere between 15 to 20 students. But if it grows, like, we can take as many as they'll allow us.
Great. And do students need to take any class sequence to be eligible for the trip, or it's just open to everyone?
Nope, it's just open to everyone.
Okay. Nice. Any other questions? No. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Tony, are you up and running?
I am.
Can you do item
Missed the
B,
whole over
please?
A city, but it is recommended that the board approve an up to 12-day Northrop High School World Strides tour to Barcelona and Rome beginning June 14th, 2027, where students will have daily learning and language immersion opportunities. Students will visit Barcelona, Provence, Côte d'Azur, Florence, and Rome. This trip is open to Northrop students in grades 10 through 12. There will be fundraising opportunities to offset the cost of the trip. John Platt, Northrop teacher, and Rob Robertson, assistant principal, are available to answer questions.
Thanks, Tony. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move for approval.
Second.
Thanks, Julie. Thanks, Steve. Any questions for Mr. Platt or Assistant Principal Robinson? No, Principal.
So same question, approximately how many students are you planning to take, and
Cost.
Estimated
cost?
cost.
We're going to take about 15 to 20 students, and the cost is about $5,785.
And what is the transportation between Barcelona and ending in Rome?
Train. Oh, cool. So we just took a trip last summer from London, Paris, Barcelona, Madrid. We went on 5 planes and 2 trains. So, and we took 25 students.
Awesome. Awesome.
Are you offering discounts for school board presidents who come to judge hard work?
For every 6 students that sign up, an adult can go for free.
Oh, there you go.
See, you're right.
I'm totally kidding.
You'd be a great chaperone.
Awesome. It doesn't say what the focus is at all. Since you're the art teacher, is the focus going to be art, or?
Yes, the main focus is going to be the visual arts.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Next up, we have Snyder High School out-of-country trips. Julie? Thank you.
It's recommended that the board approve 2 World Strides out-of-country trips for junior and senior students of Snyder High School. The first 10-day trip will be to Panama and Costa Rica during spring break 2027. The second 10-day trip will be to Peru, Machu Picchu, for June 5th, 2028. The goal of the 2027 Panama-Costa Rica trip is for students to explore language, culture, architecture, and nature. Students will visit Panama City, Bocas del Toro, Puerto Viejo, Arenal, and San Jose, where they will have the opportunity to visit museums, enjoy cultural shows, hike and experience other learning activities. For the 2028 Peru trip, students will learn culture, history, art, and nature while experiencing the Spanish language. Students will have tours and visits to historically relevant places, as well as one of the new 7 wonders of the world. Students will visit Lima, Cusco, Sacred Valle, Lake Titicaca, and Machu Picchu. Silva Pereira Mora, Snyder teacher, and Chad Hisong principal are available to answer any questions.
Thanks, Julie. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move for approval.
Second.
Thanks, Julie. Thanks, Jen. Any questions for?
Same questions.
Oh, the same
Let's go to the
questions?
same questions.
Okay. Same questions.
How many?
How many and cost?
Okay, so the Panama and Costa Rica trip is right under $4,000 per student, and I am hoping that it doesn't get too full, but it's looking like around 35 to 40 students, which is the amount that we took last year to Costa Rica.
Wow.
And I don't have it in my heart to say no to the kids, but it's kind of crazy. So we're doing 5 students, 1 adult, because there's a lot of them who want to go. And then for the Peru one, it's at 4,200, and that one will probably stay around 15 to 20 kids.
Was your last trip that you take during spring break time as well that had that many students?
The spring break one that we took was to London and Paris, and that was 20 kids. The Costa Rica one was in the summer, and it was 38 students.
Wow. Awesome.
And do students have any fundraising opportunities?
Yes, I do one every month.
What, just out of curiosity, what's your most successful one?
Andy's Chicken.
Okay.
And they sell bun cakes too. Those are pretty good. And rice and roll. Those are our biggest ones, mostly because the kids earn the most money individually.
Right.
The others are more split between the group. So, like, we run the Panther Market and we make a lot of money, but we also have a lot of travelers, so
Right.
we have to split it.
Any other questions? No. Thank you so much.
Thank you for organizing, for everybody here that's organizing these trips. Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Next up, we have Microsoft EES Parent Square Power School Annual Renewals. Noah?
It's recommended the board approve the renewal of Microsoft Enrollment for Engagement Solutions EES Annual License Agreement from Bell Technologics of Indianapolis for $236,305.66. The renewal of our Power School Annual License Agreement from Power School of Folsom, California for $546,378.56. And the renewal of Parent Square from Parent Square of Goleta, California for $161,800.05. The annual Microsoft purchase provides Office 365, Windows, and Office licenses for all district-owned devices and includes many of the core data center products such as server operating systems, database servers, and desktop management tools. This annual Power School renewal provides FWCS with the appropriate licenses for support of our student information systems, business plan systems, financial HR payroll, school learning management systems, Naviance applicant tracking, and our Business Plus data continuity services. The annual Parent Square renewal will provide FWCS with their Engage Premium 2025 software suite communication services. The vendors and prices are listed in our board recommendation. Since pricing is set by Microsoft and not the reseller, and since Parent Square and Power School are sole source, Indiana law allows the purchase of software programs without a bid. Funding comes from the Operations Fund, and Kevin Grubel, Director of Technology, is here to answer questions.
Thanks, Noah. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move we approve.
Second.
Thanks, Noah. Thanks, Julie. Any questions for Kevin?
This is just 1 year, right?
Yeah, those listed are just 1 year.
And do we currently have the Engage Premium with Parent Square?
Yeah, that license is just renewal, same as what we have.
Okay. Any other questions? No? Thanks, Kevin. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Itopia, is that right? Virtual Student Desktop Software Subscription. It is recommended that the board approve the purchase of a 5-year software subscription to, is it Itopia or Itopia?
Itopia.
Itopia. Thank you. Virtual application streaming service from CDWG of Vernon Hills, Illinois, for a total of $1,326,245. The Itopia virtual application streaming service is the most cost-effective solution that was proposed and evaluated and will provide our students with unlimited use during the 5-year subscription period. The Itopia streaming service will bring a high-end computing environment to the students' devices. Yeah. Without the need for a high-cost computer. This approach maintains equity among student devices and puts the ability to use the environment in the students' hands from anywhere they have access to the internet. Requests for proposals were sent to 19 prospective bidders with 10 proposals received from 6 vendors. And those 6 vendors are all listed there, with the CDW Government LLC having the lowest bid. Funding will come from the 2024 General Obligation Bond, and Kevin is still here to answer any questions. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks, Jen. Any questions for Kevin?
I do. Kevin?
Sure.
Oh,
In terms-
go
In
ahead.
terms that maybe we could understand.
Exactly. What
What are
exactly?
we getting? What is this?
So this is a virtual environment where we can stream high-end computer applications like AutoCAD, Revit, MD Solids, the Adobe CC Digital Content Creation Suite to a low-cost device. So we are licensing ourselves for 750 concurrent users to be able to use these applications as their courses are scheduled and rostered through PowerSchool. So if you're in Project Lead the Way Engineering, or if you're in a digital content creation as part of the Schools of Success and a Pathway, we will license that class and roster those students into this environment, and they'll be able to use this environment instead of us giving each kid a $2,200 laptop. They can still use their Chromebook, or they can still use a low-end Windows device for this.
How does it do that?
Yeah.
I mean, not to get too technical, but I mean, is there some sort of,
Yeah, so it's kind of a desktop experience. So think of it as a high-end computer that runs in the cloud that the students will log into and have the freedom to use.
okay,
You understood that?
yes, actually.
Yeah.
There's going to a website, different high-end website.
That then's going to allow you to use like the Creative Suite and such within the cloud to use those.
Yeah, and I apologize if I'm not explaining it clearly. So all of this is happening inside of a web browser. So that's why we can use those low-cost devices. And all of the high-end computing power is in the cloud. So as they kind of remotely log into this environment, the power is in the cloud for them to process the graphics of videos and digital contents and graphics and the AutoCAD and the Revits of the world. So we don't need that power in their
Okay,
hands.
that makes more sense
Okay,
to me. Yes.
very good.
I guess the only thought I have on that is, does that work across software platforms like a CAD CAM, or if there's specific softwares, right, that we have
just
to
said it did.
subscribe to? I mean, they want us to buy that piece, right? This is work over multiple different software types?
So the way the licensing work is this is a bring your own license environment. So we already have AutoCAD as part of the Autodesk licensing environment where we can let our kids use Autodesk and AutoCAD. And I think even Revit's included into that. We already use that at Wayne New Tech, and I believe we also use it at some out at Project Lead the Way, I believe at Northrop. So we'll continue to be able to use that spread more widely amongst our students as part of Schools of Success.
So I don't have to be a student at Northrop because they have those special computers over there. I can be anywhere in the district and be able to take advantage of it because we have the licensing for it.
Yes.
It's not the.
As long as you're in a Schools of Success pathway that requires that software as part of curriculum, we will roster that student into the environment. They'll be able to log in and use that.
How many softwares like that do we have, like a CAD CAM, for example, or?
That requires
Especially
high-end
in
computers.
license like that, yeah.
So we have the Autodesk, the Revit, we have the Adobe Creative Cloud Suite, and unfortunately I'm probably missing a couple, but those are the big demand software.
Four,
tools.
half a dozen, 10?
It's probably about a half a dozen.
Is this the first time we've done this?
This is the first time that we've ventured into the streaming like this, yeah. Yeah. We have the need also in computer science. So computer science brings us the problems of being able to allow students a coding environment while safely keeping them off of our production network. So with this, since it's kind of an isolated network, we're going to allow the computer science people and the students to be able to code and not jeopardize our production network, since they are kind of a separated network from us.
This will allow that? Is that what-
Yes.
Okay. Any sense of what there's some pretty wide swings in the pricing? Any sense of what or why?
Yeah, so if you look at Logicalis, they had a on-premise solution. So that was actually putting anywhere between, I think it was 7 and 11 physical servers in our data center. So we had to capitalize that cost up front, which also means we would have had to capitalize that about every 5 to 7 years. If we looked at the IBM solution, People Driven was the same as Logicalis. It's an on-premise solution. IBM provided multiple options. They were, as we dug into the pricing, they were as a pay-as-you-consume. So they had a base price, and then if students, and that was based on either 2 hours or 3 hours a day average use. If the students would go over that hourly usage, it was pay-as-you-consume. It would be an hourly tick rate, which we can't budget for. And plus, their base price was kind of above an appropriate solution that we chose.
And what was Sentinel pitching?
That was an on-premise solution. When we dug into their pricing, it seemed to be comparable to the couple of the other on-premise solutions.
Yeah.
I don't know why their price was a little bit out of line.
So I didn't want it.
And this is $1.3 million and change for 5 years or per year?
This is a 5-year contract, unlimited use, all inclusive, except for bringing your own license for the software.
Nice.
Cool.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, it is.
Nice. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks for the explanation.
Jen, can you do F? Thank you.
It is recommended that the board approve the purchase of student
Lenovo.
Lenovo. I don't know why. Lenovo Chromebooks from Chafara of St. Paul, Minnesota for $548,970. The purchase of 1,262 Lenovo 300E G4 Chromebooks will complete our middle school conversation from a Microsoft Windows laptop to Chromebooks. These Chromebooks will also come with, with 4 something.
Years.
I,
Did it freeze?
yes.
Okay, I got you. I got you.
Sorry.
Longer. Yes, these Chromebooks will also come with 4 years of accidental damage protection. FWCS was able to secure pricing from Trafera that is 30% below the Omnia partner contract price. Indiana law does not require public bidding for purchases made at or below approved cooperative. Cooperative, thank you. We're just gonna share a brain today. Cooperative purchasing agencies and/or GSA pricing. Funding will come from the Common School Fund loan, and Kevin Grubel, Director of Technology, is still here to answer any questions.
Thank you for picking up for me.
No problem. Oh, is there a motion on the
Move
floor?
approved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Noah. Any questions for Kevin? No? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Steve, can you do item G?
It's recommended the attached list of gifts, grants, and donations be officially accepted by the board. Throughout the school year, various schools receive gifts and donations from individuals, organizations, and businesses. Authorization to receive gifts is a board function. The State Board of Accounts has agreed that a listing of all gifts received during any 1 year and ratified by the board would meet audit requirements. Attached, we have is a listing of those gifts, grants, and donations as submitted by the various unit heads for last calendar year. A detailed report is also on file in our business office. Unit heads are encouraged to express appropriate appreciation for any and all gifts when they are received. And Kim Sobody?
Saboti.
What?
Saboti.
Sabody. Kim Sabody, our internal auditors here, to tell me how to pronounce her name and also to answer questions from us.
We're struggling today. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move approve.
Second.
Thanks, Noah. Thanks, Julie. Any questions for Kim Zabodi?
I believe it or not, I did look through this report, and do you have a sense of how much in total dollars received?
It was, I believe, there's a total here.
There was a total by school, which I appreciated, and I just didn't remember seeing a total number. It was pretty significant.
It is. It's $1,092,294.85.
And that was for what period again?
That was calendar year of '24.
Over $1 million. So thank you for the Fort Wayne community. Also, I wanted to give a shout out to Renee and Sodexo, because I saw their name prominently listed many different times, in smaller dollar amounts and bigger dollar amounts. And Renee's just been a great partner and representative of Sodexo. I didn't know how Sodexo came about or anything like that, but I just kept seeing her name, and my initial thought was, that's what a great vendor customer partnership for something like this should be. And for maybe the 5 people watching, if this gets out in the media or whatever, if anybody wants to do business with Fort Wayne Community Schools, I would recommend talking to Renee and Sodexo about what great partnerships look like. And so thank you, Renee, and thank you, Sodexo.
Any other questions for Kim? Okay. Thanks, Kim.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Tony, can you do, what are we on? H?
It is recommended that the board accept the extracurricular account reports for the first semester of the 2024-2025 school year. Indiana Code 2041-18 requires an accurate account of all money received and expended by extracurricular accounts. All extracurricular semester reports are audited by the business office and are available for inspection for 10 years. Kim Sabodi, internal auditor, will be available again to answer any questions.
Thanks, Tony. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks, Steve. Any questions for Kim?
Why'd you let Rosie go to a conference so you got to sit here? That was kind of you.
And she told me the last minute.
So. Any questions? No? Okay. Thanks, Kim. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Item I, Julie?
It's recommended that the attached report of equipment purchases be officially accepted by the board. Equipment purchases, including equipment reconditioning over $500 from extracurricular funds, are subject to approval by the Board of School Trustees. The State Board of Accounts has agreed that these purchases and reconditioning may be accepted annually. Attached is the report as submitted by Fort Wayne Community School unit heads for 2024. And Kim is still here to answer any questions.
Thanks, Julie. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move for approval.
Second.
Thanks, Julie. Thanks, Tony. Any questions for Kim? No? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Item J, Noah, are you
Yeah, I'm
available to do that
playing
one?
around.
No, you're fine.
Yes, Lexia is recommended the board approve the purchase of district-wide renewal license for Lexia, an adaptive literacy program in the amount of $295,000. Lexia is an adaptive online program providing personalized instruction based on the science of reading. In the 2024-2025 school year, we began district-wide implementation of the program PK through 5. This program is used in classrooms to provide supplemental resources, provide lessons for small group instruction, is utilized for one-to-one tutoring and study connection. Funding will come from the textbook rental, and Shan Quigley, Director of Elementary Curriculum Instruction and Assessment, is here to answer any questions.
Thanks, Noah. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move approve.
Second.
Thanks, Noah. Thanks, Jen. Any questions for Shannon?
Shannon, which year did we bring back Lexia? 'Cause when my children were in school, we had Lexia, then we went away from Lexia, or slightly, or whatever. Now we're back looking at it more.
Well, we've had, for the last few years, we had different schools that have been using it to various degrees, piloting it, and then last year was our first district-wide. I don't know how we used it in the past. I don't remember using it in my classroom.
Maybe I'm mistaken. Yes.
There might have been other programs, but I don't think we had it historically previous to that, at least my recognition.
We've seen some data on that, and this seems to be a good resource. Can you explain just a little bit more about how it works?
Yeah, so at the beginning of the year, and as we go on, when students first go into the program, they take an assessment. It's very brief, really. It's not as long as some other programs that we have, and it places them into an adaptive program based upon how they respond. So it really goes over the 5 comprehension, phonics, phonemic awareness, fluency, and now I'll lose the last one, comprehension, did I say that? So it will go through those different core competencies, and as they answer correctly or incorrectly, it will provide on-demand instruction for them. But if they are struggling with something, it also flags for the teacher that they may need to provide reteaching, and it will also provide the teacher a lesson plan that they could utilize. It's not mandatory that the teacher use that lesson plan, but it does give them a resource, and that's also a resource that they can utilize to provide an assistant or a tutor who can also help deliver that lesson, because it really is very direct in how it can be delivered to help reteach that skill.
Okay. Do you have data on how much we use Lexia? Do you have like hours or number of logins or anything like that?
Sure, yeah, we do have data. So we have had 13,795 students who have accessed the program this year, and we do have a different number of how often and frequency they have utilized that. But we have over about 60% of those who have met their usage minute requirement to maximize really their program instruction. So we have, again, a range of that. And as they continue to reach the maximum recommended units, we've seen the most growth within those students. So as we implement year 2, that's something we're really going to try to strengthen and get all of our students on those recommended units so that we can see the most growth that we can.
Awesome. Thank you. Any other questions about Lexia? Okay. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Next up, we have the Goal Book Toolkit. It is recommended that the board approve the contract to provide Goal Book Toolkit for our special education teachers and speech language pathologists for $149,940. The contract runs until June 30, 2026. These company names. Enome, Inc. Goalbook will provide membership and services for online resources. The contract will be paid from Medicaid funding, and Jennifer Burning, Director of Special Education, will be available to answer any questions. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move approve.
Second.
Thanks, Noah. Thanks, Tony. Any questions for Jennifer? Just so everyone knows, Jennifer told us about the Goal Book in our work session right before this meeting. So yeah, no further questions?
I do have one question. As you were talking about this earlier, and you were telling us that this was highly favored by teachers who use it, is it because that of the design and that it uses technology to utilize prompts, or is it a forerunner of what we're hearing these days of artificial intelligence and helping to accelerate the creation and development of these reports?
It's not a true AI platform, however, it has components of AI, and everything in it is individualized. So you can put in specific information about a student, how they're progressing, where their pitfalls lie, and then it will build a goal for you to work on with that student Now, you may need to adjust the goal because any tool's only as good as the user, but it gives you a good jumping off point.
And before our teachers were using Goalbook to develop this information, did they find themselves spending more time in creating that document?
Absolutely.
So what was the difference?
So instead of pulling from your bank of goals that you might have used for Steve and Tony and Ann and so forth and so on, now it's truly individualized for that. So all 7th graders aren't going to have the same goal.
And so a task that took how long before is now done in what?
So it just kind of depends on the user, but you can pump out a goal in less than a minute. Put in, here's where my student's progressing, here's the goal I need. Or you can enter, I have a 7th grade student, I need an English language arts goal around reading comprehension, and it'll give you 5 or 6 to choose from right there.
Wonderful.
And then also will give you the tools to progress monitor how the student's doing on that goal, so you have some true measures of growth.
Thank you.
Is this our first time acquiring this software?
No, we've had it for 3 years. We used ESSER funds to get it previously.
That's right, you
so.
mentioned that too. When you said Esther, I remember that now. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Jen, is your computer unfroze?
Yes.
Okay.
It is recommended that the board approve a contract amendment in the amount of $3,122,802, reflecting a total amended contract amount of $3,137,802 with Hagerman, Inc. for the miscellaneous improvements at Anthus and Face. Projects are funded from the 2024 general obligation bond and within program budget. The board previously approved the CMC contract on August 12, 2024, and Heather Krebs, Director of Facilities, will be here to answer our questions.
Thanks, Jen. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move for approval.
Second.
Thanks, Julie. Thanks, Jen. Any questions for Heather? Okay. You're off the hook, Heather. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Steve, can you do the miscellaneous projects 2025?
Yes.
Thank you.
It's recommended the board approve the following construction contracts. M2 miscellaneous masonry at Wayne and Snyder. That's the project. The contractor is Hagerman. The amount of their contract is $311,847. The second project is the high school stadium digital display boards, and the contractor is Daktronics. Contract amount $1,894,514. The projects will utilize several sources, including operations funds that have been identified in the 2025 capital projects plan, as well as the 2020 school building basic renewal / restoration and safety project bond, and finally the 2024 general obligation bond funds. Heather is still here to answer questions about these two projects.
Thanks, Steve. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move to approve.
Second.
Thanks, Noah. Thanks, Julie. Any questions for Heather?
Well, since you're here, Heather, I got to ask you a question. So the scoreboards, all outdoor sports, how many scoreboards is that we're talking?
It is a scoreboard at each high school at the football field. So
football only?
Football, soccer is played on our football fields at several locations as well. We have the soccer line kits in our field turf. Any other track and field can use it.
Right.
So yeah, multiple
so it's
sports
just
that
at
are
the
within the
5
stadiums. Yes.
Gotcha. Any bells and whistles on it other than, what we normally think of as a...
It's a video board.
Oh, really?
The one thing you cannot do is live stream on it, but you can do any videos you want on it. You can do hype videos as teams are coming out. You can do live updates. You can do all the, when they get a touchdown, you can have flashy things that go off.
Okay.
That there's a
Advertising?
touchdown.
Can you do
Community advertising?
You can absolutely do advertising.
So you can't do replays?
You cannot do instant replays, no.
Would live streaming even be legal? Is it legal in Indiana?
I don't know the
Maybe I
answer to
just
that
said-
question.
Why, would you know why the functionality is not allowing that? Is that something they just don't do? like, as
It's
company?
a higher
Or
level
is it just too-
of software
it would be a lot more
technology.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it could be done, but just way
Just
more expensive.
not on, yeah, way more expensive than what we're spending.
So it can show a video,
It can absolutely show a video.
and what is the quality of that video?
It
They
is,
vary. I mean, they can be very sophisticated, very clear, and
it's very clear. I don't know the exact pixel or refresh rate, but it is a very clear video. It's high definition.
What's the size of the scoreboard and the size of the video screen?
The total size of the scoreboard with graphics and the actual fixed scoreboard beneath it is roughly 20 feet high by 25 feet wide. The video board portion of it is just under 12 feet high by 20 feet wide.
does anyone in the area have that size of a board?
It's very similar to the boards that are at Carroll High School and DeKalb High School locally.
Okay.
And this is, we have a local source?
The Daktronics is actually out of South Dakota. We do have a local representative that's actually in Ohio that covers our region.
What's the life expectancy of these display boards?
It's roughly 10 years, but could be longer.
Anything else?
I just want to welcome you back to the hot seat, and I'm sure Darren appreciates that, but congratulations to both you and Darren on your revised and new roles.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Heather. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, I don't even remember who read that last one.
Hey, can I ask a question? Since I just saw this?
Sure.
Heather?
Yeah.
So this says construction contract. So does this mean his contract is for like installation only? Or does this include the
It includes
board itself?
It includes the board's full turnkey.
Okay.
So it's
From
actually
installation and including the board?
yes, includes all the electrical, includes the fiber run from the booth to the board. Everything is included.
Does it come with,
Remote.
yes, that's it. Does the company supply a class to run the board for us?
They will train us how to
Okay.
run the boards, yes.
I was just thinking that same thing.
Well, that plus, I mean, do we see this as something that our students could participate in?
100%.
Okay. Yes. They're probably a lot smarter than we are in this, so
Just have to check what they put on it.
it's fine. I can oversee that. I just want them to be able to do it.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming back.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
All right, we are on item N. Tony, are you still up and running? Thank
It
you.
is recommended that the board approve the purchase of beverages in the amount of $713,404. The bid is for a one-year contract with an option to extend to supply bottled water, juice, Gatorade, and cold brew coffee. Due to federal requirements, more stringent specifications are now being used for beverages served in schools throughout nutrition services. Beverages containing nutrients are preferred in making award determinations. The nutrients considered are vitamin A, vitamin B6, vitamin B12, vitamin C, calcium, niacin, thiamine, riboflavin, and iron. Funding will be from the Nutrition Services Fund. Invitations to bid were mailed to 11 prospective bidders, with 4 bidders responding. Commercial Food Systems, Inc. in Indianapolis was $681,812. Gordon Food Services, Grand Rapids, Michigan, $31,592 for a total of $713,404. Elizabeth Guerrera, Director of Nutrition Services, is available to answer questions.
Thanks, Tony. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks, Noah. Any questions for Felipe? Is this for the entire year? Are we approving next school year's beverages? Hi, Felipe.
Sorry, I'm a little sore. Yeah, it's for next school year, so 25-26.
Okay. And is this an increase over what we paid for beverages last year?
Actually, we were able to just increase a little bit, 0.27% for next year. So we did pretty good.
Awesome. Thank you.
So when and where are these beverages available to students?
So we sell all these beverages. They're included in our bid for elementary schools. So we have breakfast with a juice pack for all the different breakfasts for secondary schools and the a la carte lines that we have in our secondary schools. So it's all inclusive for beverage.
Okay, so Gatorade, cold brew coffee, when's that available?
So Gatorade, yes. Coffee, not anymore. Yes.
Your coffee bar's not going anymore?
It's not going anymore. We did it for straight 2 years, but the cost of production was higher than the reimbursement. We saw an uptick in participation, but right now I'm reviewing if the actual increase in participation balance it out the whole cost of the operation, and right now we can't tell yes. And since the prices of what we were quoting for the coffee for next year was too high, we're going to pause it for now until we can get more data, because and I'm not going to get too technical into how you figure these things out, right? But it's not just a function of what you buy, but what you serve and what the students actually consume. So it's a multivariate equation to try to figure out if what you're putting out, it is actually worthwhile, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So at what level can a student buy Gatorade?
Secondary schools, mostly high school.
For lunch? That's
They
an
can-
option, a la carte lunch item?
Correct. Yeah, and all those beverages, they have to meet the smart snack guidelines so we can sell it.
So I guess I'll ask this one now, or to wait later, but what are you hearing or seeing from the federal government as relating to some of this stuff and requirements and all that stuff?
We don't know.
Since we're buying for next year,
Yeah.
I mean, could we be back here in 2 months after a big?
This is still all compliant with the most stringent regulations. With the previous administration, they passed now new caps on added sugars that we never had before. So this is meeting all the most stream regulations. If they get relaxed a little bit, we'll still be fine. But we make sure to just dial it in the worst case scenario.
And aspartame and all those artificial sweeteners, do those meet those sugar guidelines as okay sweeteners?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But probably, as you read, they're going to get rid of artificial dyes. So it's now on the manufacturers to figure out how to make that happen.
We'll be drinking water.
Maybe.
Any other questions on beverages? Okay. Thanks, Felipe. You should probably just stay there. All those in favor?
Up to you.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Julie? Milk?
Milk. It's recommended that the board approve the purchase of milk from DFA Dairy Brands in the amount of $1,015,507. Half pints of milk, estimated at $5.7 million annually, represent about 90% of the total dairy purchases for Fort Wayne Community Schools and other potentially vended programs. Other dairy items such as yogurt, cottage cheese, and larger units of milk will also be provided and are in addition to the cost above. This bid is a one-year contract with the option to renew, funding from Nutrition Services. Invitations to bid were mailed to 2 bidders, with both responding, and you can see the 2 of them. And for whole milk, chocolate milk, fat-free, skim milk, the grand total is right there, $1,015,507. The total for this bid is approximately a 13.5% decrease when compared to current contract pricing. And Felipe is still here to answer any questions.
Thanks, Julie. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move for approval.
Second.
Thanks, Julie. Thanks, Noah. Any questions for Felipe on milk?
Who is DFA?
Thank you. Yeah.
Dairy. Are they new?
They're not new. They've been around for a while, but they acquired Dean's.
Okay.
Yes. So Dean was going under bankruptcy, and they were purchased by DFA about 3 years ago.
I'm shocked at the disparity in the bid prices. It seems $400,000 seems like a pretty good spread. Is that unusual or not?
A little bit. But we went with a different strategy this year. So we've for the longest time, we've done a firm pricing. So you lock the price for the whole year. Then 2 years ago, we reintroduced the escalating, de-escalating bid pricing that follows the federal milk market. And then this year, we had a third option, which was Fort Wayne Community Schools or our department absorbing transportation costs and different levels. So we have 3 different levels, with us absorbing all the transportation costs. So we did different bidding modes. And we got very interesting pricing, so we were able to flush out a lot of unanswered questions we had, just to put it that way.
So when you factor in your transportation cost, what is the actual cost of milk going to be? Is it still going to be less?
So we went with the option that we take no transportation cost. This is just DFA delivering, and we have firm pricing, so we're locked in for the whole year.
Okay.
So DFA delivers nutrition services, you deliver to the
No, they deliver
schools?
directly to the schools. Yeah.
They're still delivering directly to schools?
Yes.
So what's the difference? Is that what your questions were about?
Yeah, so we were trying to flush out what is the transportation cost, because we were told that was the biggest expense. So
Okay.
by having that third option, we were going to compare the firm pricing, the escalating, de-escalating, and the absorbing transportation in a 3-tier system. So the idea was to flush out what is the real transportation cost, because we were told it was 65%, right? So based on all those models, we got data that it wasn't supportive of what we were told. So then we went with the safest option, which is, it's not the cheapest. The escalating, de-escalating was a little cheaper, about $30,000, but with the current market, it's going to go up. It's not going to go down. So we went with the firm pricing, which is going to lock for the whole year, and then we're good.
Nice.
So from a transportation perspective, what's different?
That was our question.
And no-
Exactly.
no
I mean,
difference in the
if we're
contract.
told that 65% of the pricing structure, it is transportation, then we had to look at, what we can do to cover that. We have 4 trucks. We received 2 new trucks with, I think that came last year for that one, that's half refrigeration, half freezer, or any configuration. So we were in a position to tackle some of those things if it was true, but it wasn't true.
I think we should have them negotiate diesel, gasoline, other things. Darren, what do you think? Sign him on
I mean,
that?
it's just the power of data. If you have the right data and you know how to connect the dots.
Yeah. Where is DFA located?
That is
Huntington.
Huntington, okay. I wondered if that was it.
This is not Felipe, but we've had a number of renewal contracts, which are fine, but I love this total for this business, approximately 13.5% decrease. Is that something, particularly we have renewals? If the other board members concur, that would be helpful. Good information in these recs.
Yes. Absolutely.
That's good.
So, just so, I've been listening to you talk about the regulations on sugar. Where will chocolate milk fall into that? Will it ever be a problem? Because that looks to me like chocolate milk's our biggest expense of the milk products. So do we foresee, I want kids to drink milk. Obviously, they drink chocolate milk, over a lot of them, over the white milk. But do we ever see where we're going to have a problem, an issue with purchasing chocolate milk?
No.
Okay.
Not at all.
Just wondering.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. It is recommended that the board approve the purchase of bread and buns from Alpha Baking Company, Inc. in the amount of $155,056. The bid is for a one-year contract with the option to extend to provide bread products for schools and facilities on an average of 3 deliveries per week. Product information is reviewed by registered dietitians using product considerations such as nutritional analysis, price, and adherence to specifications. Funding will come from Nutrition Services Fund. Invitations to bid were mailed to 9 prospective bidders with 2 bidders responding. And Felipe is still here to answer our questions about bread and buns. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move to approve.
Second.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks, Tony. Any questions for Felipe?
I do. I have a question. So are we required to offer bread products using enriched flour, or is it whole flour? Is it the good stuff or is it the bad stuff?
Well, it's still the good stuff, but it doesn't taste as good. We're required to use whole grain.
Whole grain?
Yes.
Love it. Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, awesome. Thanks, Felipe. Does that end your, oh no, you're still up. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Jen, can you do the cafeteria?
It is recommended that the board approve the purchase of cafeteria paper and supplies in the amount of $356,275. The bid is for cafeteria papers and supplies such as bags, gloves, apron trays, paper products to be used at the Nutrition Process Center in our schools. Funding will come from the Nutrition Services Fund. Invitations to bids were mailed to 20 prospective bidders with 5 responding. We had Acorn, Gordon, and Janitor Supply in the award. Or all 3 of those, excuse me, will be used. Acorn for $68,091, Gordon's for $69,219, Janice Supply Company for $218,965 for a total of $356,275. And Felipe is here to answer more questions.
Great. Thanks, Jen. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move approve.
Second.
Thanks, Noah. Thanks, Tony. Any questions for Felipe about paper goods and supplies? Okay. You're off the hook for that one, Felipe. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Oh, wait, no, it's got one more.
All right. It is recommended that the board approve the purchase of food from Gordon Food Service in the amount of $5,292,764. This purchase is for food items to be used in the school lunch program at the Nutrition Process Center and the 17 cooking kitchens from August 1, 2025 through July 31, 2026. The purchase includes items such as fruits, vegetables, meats, and staples such as flour, sugar, and salt. Funding will come from Nutrition Services Fund, and Felipe is still here to answer any questions. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move for approval.
Second.
Thanks, Julie. Thanks, Noah. Any questions for Felipe on food?
Not on the food, but it says the lunch program and excuse me, we're just on a roll today.
I know, we really are.
Nutrition Process Center and the 17 cooking kitchens, are those kitchens in nutrition services or outside? Like,
Just for Wayne Community Schools. Just for Wayne Community Schools.
So, but I mean, they're not all at nutrition services, they're like over at Antis and.
Correct.
Okay.
Secondary schools, including the Nutrition Process Center.
So we have 17 outside of nutrition services.
It will be 16 plus the 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at this point, we don't have any cooking kitchens in our elementaries, correct?
No. No.
Do we foresee in the future, possibly?
That was the idea, and I would love to. But with the current uncertainty, what's going on at Congress, a couple of, I believe 2 months ago, a month and a half, there was a budget resolution passed, and they're looking at all the programs, including school nutrition. They already cut down 2 massive programs from farm to school. We weren't participating on that one, luckily, but so many other school districts have been defunded, and now they're scrambling to find funds to buy exactly that school, farm to school. So while I would love to, and that'll be the goal, I think we have to be very conscious of what could happen in the future.
So I appreciated the fact that I was invited to when we talked to Farm to School event, and we're still okay on that?
Yes, so we have our own plan going on. That's why I didn't want to rely on those funds, because otherwise you'll be really hurt. So we're going to continue our Farm to School program with the way that we set it up, and now having these 2 new trucks will give us more latitude to go and maybe pick up stuff that we can get delivered. But yeah, we were in a good position because we figured out our own system before being told.
Thank you.
There's a middle school or 2 that does not have a cooking kitchen?
They all do. All the secondary schools have.
They do, okay.
Full production kitchens.
Any other questions? Okay. Thanks so much, Felipe, for being in the hot seat.
One other question. So how does this compare to what we spent for food last year?
We projected $6.5 million. And now for 25-26, it's about 5.5, right? So we've done pretty good with our inventory and projections, and this is just as an FYI, from 2022-23 to 25-26, right, which is next school year, we've decreased about 27% of bid cost. So when the world is going a little higher, we've been able to turn it around and decrease it by 27%. So we've done pretty good in a couple of different ways in our operation.
Yeah. Thanks for all the work you do, Felipe, and your team.
Thank you. No problem.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. That was the world's longest agenda.
We got more.
We're not done. Oh, I know. I mean, we are with the agenda items. Now, the athletics report. FWCS District Athletic Director Virgil Tharp will give an update to the board on the exciting happenings in elementary, middle, and high school regarding FWCS athletics. And I know we have several board members who are athletic enthusiasts, so we're all excited to hear this report.
Thank you for having me. During this time, I'll go over data for the district as a whole, but also look at each level, middle or high school, middle, elementary, as well as plans for the future for athletics as a whole. But before I get into the data, I have a video I'd like to show of some of our staple features in our programming.
What we have done a great job of in Fort Wayne Community Schools is supplying the resources that student athletes need to excel academically, number 1, socially, emotionally, number 2, and then as an athlete, number 3.
So now having dedicated athletic academic advisors, they communicate directly with the coaches. They send coaches emails, I'm on them. They will talk to me directly about student A is doing an outstanding job in their academics, or student B is struggling. What do we do to support them? So we start to have those conversations.
Obviously you have to have good grades to even be in a sport. I feel like that's helped because it gives the student more accountability to do it on their own.
I went to Carroll High School, so I grew up in a little bit of a different atmosphere when it came to athletics. However, there were times that I still really needed the extra support, maybe didn't feel that it was available to me or didn't know who to ask. I think with the athletic advisor position, it gives students a starting place if they don't feel comfortable going to a coach and asking them for academic help because maybe they're not in the building, or going directly to their teacher to asking for support. I kind of serve as that middleman and can help them either A, find the right resources or give them the support that they need.
Positive outcomes of the academic advisor piece. We've had fewer and fewer students becoming ineligible. Within the last few years, I believe since Dr. Daniel's tenure, the commitment to utilizing the full percentage of the general fund that can be used on facilities. You see that already with 4 of the high schools having turf fields, Snyder about to have a stadium turf field, and then adding the strength conditioning component with the partnership through Parkview Sports Medicine.
One of the benefits of the Parkview Sports Medicine strength coach, that's another adult that gets to work and build a relationship with athletes that's not their sport coach, that's not the teacher in a specific subject, that's not their parent. They know how they respond to adversity. They know how they look when they're having a bad day. They know how what makes them tick, what motivates them. They know and they listen, have an ear to the things that student athlete struggles with outside of the school.
Strength and conditioning, you want to come in there, work, get stronger, and then what you're doing for like your counselor and grades, you want to go into the class and get obviously the best grade you want or the best grade you work for. So just like working in both situations, you just got to work hard and whatever the results are, the results are.
Parkview Sports Medicine player of the game is going to go to Javon Irby with 20 points on the night, 19 of those in that first half.
Out the first down and more. Irby still running. Irby down the sideline, and they won't catch him. Javon Irby to the house.
Last year, I know I wanted to keep working out, and within my schedule, I found it hard going to the gym. So having that opportunity of working out during school was really helpful. I took strength training for the first time, and I learned how to bench press, so that was pretty cool.
It was kind of a cool experience. Everybody working hard, and they treated it like another home. They always took care of it and everything.
Come on, Jay! Come on, Johnny! Don't push that code. Stay up, fight through it, fight through it. Hey, there we go,
Athletics as a whole serve like a huge role in high school in general, and the weight room is just another part of that. I mean, there's multiple teams in here lifting every day, and that's building like soft skills and life skills that you're going to use every day for the rest of your life. Like we just got done with a hard like Thursday workout that it's not as much to like challenge it challenges our bodies, like, but it's not as much to build muscle as it is challenge like our minds mentally and see like how hard are we willing to go and stuff like that. And so that kind of, we're in a controlled environment, but when we get out in the real world, it's not going to be a controlled environment. And so being able to simulate that in here every day and seeing how we can push ourselves, it's unmatched by anything else like a high school would be able to put on. So I think the weight room serves and like everything we do here with Alex and Lauren, our trainer, it's top notch, and like there's not a lot of schools, I would say, even outside of foreign community schools, that are on the same level.
All right. My first year here was in 2017, and coming in the year later, we were able to establish Strata through athletics, which allowed us to identify a lot of the holes in the bucket for athletics. Through that process, we established 5 pillars. Those pillars we identify as our core values. Number 1, if anyone knows the legendary Coach Isaacs, excellence is everything, and doing everything in excellence and maximize your potential. The next piece is the sportsmanship, which is not just for the student athlete, but also parents or coaches, and also understanding that the culture has to be derived around being a good citizen and a good teammate. The next piece is being a part of a collective body and not allowing everything to be just about you, which leads into the 4th pillar of a work ethic and having individual accountability for self and doing whatever it takes to get the job done. Now, the last and the most important piece is the relationship piece. We feel that we will move the needle as long as we continue to impact lives in a positive way through building relationships. As you saw in the video, we bring people intentionally into our environment that's going to add value to our student athletes. And from our data, you will see that the results is that we will increase participation, but also edify the education-based athletics process. As a district, last year, we had over 7,000 student athletes from first grade to 12th grade. By far, this is the most we've had in my tenure and probably ever in Fort Wayne Community Schools. Since 2018-19 school year, we have increased rosters of close to 3,000, by 3,000 student athletes, and that is from elementary all the way to 12th grade. The low-hanging fruit is that addressing the need at the elementary or lower levels. So moving forward, part of our strategies, and then we'll get into that a little later, is identifying that need and adhering to our families and our student athletes, exposing them to sports at an earlier age and developing them internally. Our high school data, I'm sorry if that's small to see, but you can see the continued growth. Since 2018, we have increased rostered positions or participation by 50%, which equates to roughly 900 new student athletes to our roster teams. On that lower part, you'll see the bottom line is the unique athlete. The unique athlete is the athlete that's individualized. It takes away the multi-sport. You have seen a steady increase. So that means our programs are becoming more attractive to our student athletes, attractive to our families, and we will look to continue to do those pieces.
Excuse me, Berto, does this include new sports like men's volleyball and boys volleyball and girls wrestling
Yes.
and flag football?
So yes, those are included as well.
And those became effective what?
As of last year,
22, 23?
23, 24.
Okay.
They became sanctioned sports. The girls' flag is not included in this data here. That will be in this coming year. So why are we seeing growth in our athletic programs? It's pretty obvious here. Our intentionality. We are intentionally pursuing prizes that we want. Our athletic departments in our buildings are intentionally going after athletes that are already participating in sports and bring them over to next season so they become those multiple sport athletes. Over the past couple years, you see that steady incline of multi-sport athletes, and right now we are close to hitting 400, and I'm sure we'll be surpassing that here shortly in this upcoming year. But that 50% increase stems a lot from our student athlete advocates, or advisors, what we call them. These individuals, there's a person per school at our high school. They adhere to the needs of every student athlete in their building. No longer are we allowing athletes to fall through the cracks or just pushing them away because they may not know how to do a math assignment. No longer can we say, just do better. What if they don't know how to do better? Why can't we be the people that stand in the gap, that make sure that they have the resources and at least attempting to support them and getting them to the goal that they aspire to? So each season, and actually it's all year long, if you are in season, you're with the student advocate, but also if you have been identified previously as a student athlete, they are there as a resource to either provide direct services for that student athlete academically, or to stand in the gap and speak with the student athlete's teachers to help mitigate some of the strife that some of our athletes have. Athletes are not used to showing weaknesses. Athletes don't want to show weaknesses. So now bringing more credible people into these spaces that are now a part of our athletic departments and staff to support our student athletes, but more importantly, build trust in that relationship through intentionality. So as you see right now, this past year, as a district, we are almost at 3.0, and this is through the NCAA GPA. It's not the FWCS. This is more. It's a more rigid evaluation for as GPA. You have 16 particular core classes that you have to pass that they look at. So the gym classes, the pottery classes, the choir classes are not involved in that GPA.
Have you looked at how the new course requirements for the new Indiana diploma is going to go into effect? How does that coincide with those NCAA 16 core courses? Are there gaps now?
Well, right now we're working with the NCAA. I'm proud to announce that last week they would like to have a partnership with Fort Wayne Community Schools for 3 years to come in and perform presentations for staff, families, and student athletes. So we'll be receiving that information directly if there is any type of changes going on.
Because it's my understanding that the new diploma really only requires algebra.
To my knowledge, the NCAA will still stick with the 6 credits for math.
Right.
Right.
That's what I'm calling a gap.
Yes.
Okay.
And that'll be something we will be able to work with NCAA and make sure that we are at the forefront of that as well.
Well, I mean, if the state doesn't require it, there's a gap, is their point, right? What do we do to just get with the kids and students and say, hey, be sure and take another class?
Yeah.
Right.
So that's when we believe you need to have as much math as you can. You need core subjects.
Well,
So that's built into the sequencing of our courses. We don't, there's a bare minimum, and then you get into what do I want an academic honors plus, SEAL, so on and so forth, which is same rigor as it's always been. So again, we don't see ourselves saying, oh, only take one algebra class and you're good for the rest of the year, you know. Instead, what are we going to do to prepare students for either college or workforce, and so our standards are still, we're still looking at more of the honors or honors plus. So,
but that's just
which are the SEALs.
going to be another factor though for our counselors too. Are
To
you an
understand.
athlete? Like if that's your college pursuit,
That's right.
This is where you have to go.
So again, NCAA is probably what I'm hearing as a grader has a higher level of standard and it's not very flexible. So our student athletes need to understand if they're interested in Division I or NCAA eligibility, they need to meet those standards. So that would be a piece to make sure we follow through with yes, the people that are assisting our student athletes, but also all of our students, i.e. through our counselors.
Right.
Go moving
and parents too, you know.
And parents.
Parents that, you know, if you've got a student athlete who intends to go to college, here's the, you know, the courses you need to make sure you've got.
Yes. It goes back to that intentionality. We have to make sure we're talking right now, changing the culture even at the middle school level and expectation. You know, we have changed some policies even there to be more inclusive. There used to be a no F policy. Now, if a student has an F, it doesn't just kick them off the team. It puts them on academic probation, where they are required to have study tables to then be able to be eligible, as well as increasing their grade. But our counselors, working with our counselors, our student advocates, our academic advisors, athletic academic advisors, this is a tongue twister, they play a major role in this infrastructure here for that student athlete and changing the culture and mindset of athletes. Being able to talk directly with coaches, keeping everyone up to par, it's a game changer has been a game changer for our district.
Do our the advisors ever meet with our like 8th grade students as what they're expected when they're coming to high school?
That's a task for the AD at the middle school level. They have parent meetings as well as seasonal meetings of fall, winter, spring, where that information is given. We have to repeat it continually. But that task, we don't have the infrastructure in the middle school as we do in high school. We don't have those advocates there or those advisors.
Well, to Julie's point, in the gap, it looks to me that we're going to be relying on our ADs and such in our middle schools to be able to give that information as parents are starting to look, because there's a big difference, obviously, between middle school and what course selection in high school. So I know that our Schools of Success will help with that because they're already kind of looking at that pathway, but I think it's going to fall a lot more into our middle schools as to making sure that they're going to fill that gap, because they're not going to see NCAA requirements. They're going to see, we better be showing them athletic requirements.
Yes. That goes back to that intentionality. We have to keep everyone up to breath, elementary, middle, and high.
So what we're finding with the Schools of Success model, specifically at the middle school level, as they've had their meetings, parent meetings, it continues to grow in participation. But again, what's the messaging to our parents, to our students? And Matt and I had our student cabinet this morning, and it happened to be one of our Southside students. And Matt asked the question, what advice would you give to students going forward? And he was a senior. And his point was, don't wait until your junior year. I should have spent more time my freshman and sophomore year, but I really worked hard on increasing. Now he's going to Indiana Tech. Really pleased with his leadership, but that's great advice. What you need to do this earlier. Don't wait until you're a junior. And as we hopefully we see some more data here, how do you impact the student athlete from even, I don't want to steal his thunder, but even from first grade? What's going on first grade through 12th grade with the mindset of how do you become a student athlete? Not just an athlete.
Yes.
And I think our students really need to understand what their GPA means, because as a student athlete, you have multiple different opportunities, and every point of your GPA counts towards some kind of monetary value when you end up in college. So sometimes you're right, waiting to your junior year to get your GPA from a 3.2 to a 3.5 is going to be a really hard thing for a child to do.
And having that expectation in middle school has shifted from going to that no F policy to now we still want to keep you engaged. We don't want to kick you away or push you away just because you were immature as a 6th grader and you didn't pass art class because you were falling asleep. Well, now that affects your co-curriculars. So a lot of maturity happens over, especially in the middle school age group. But it's also about giving grace and also allowing people the opportunity to succeed.
So I'll add one other piece. So observing teaming that's happening with our freshman teachers, discussion is, yes, what's the next case challenge? How's that mesh with what you're doing in your particular content area, be it math, English, social science, whatever. But also discussion on individual students. Here you are as a team, look at the students that are part of a cohort, look at those students that are failing. I mean, I walked away there on cloud 9 because what I was hearing was, wow, we have individualized. So now we're talking about how do we make contact with the parent about the student in regards to the student with the F. What about the student in regards to attendance issues? What about also celebrating with the parent? And that conversation's happening among our team of teachers with support staff. And that's so very encouraging because we're only in phase 1 of implementation with freshmen. But having conversation just this morning with the School of Success committee team, steering team, if you will. Again, how are we reaching into the middle school? Because that communication needs to start there. before, and again, seeing the turnout of our parents, at least Shanita, you can chime in here too, what's happening at these meetings as parents are coming and hearing about the transition to high school. Maybe it's because it's new, I don't know. We'll have some survey questions coming out very shortly to start to gather the input from parents. Why is this? What is it that you need? What's the messaging? Are you getting the messaging? Is it making an impact on students in regards to their attendance, in regards to their behavior, in regards to their academics? So I think we're heading in a great direction. So
as far as our middle school,
what's going on in middle school?
Just a snapshot. We're seeing increases as well. Working with a lot of our community partners who have changed some of their program to allow our kids to come back to our programming. We've seen an increase in participation in football and track in particular. A lot of our sport offerings are capped because of roster spaces. So there are opportunities there with track, football, cross country where there aren't limitations on rosters. But as we look to grow in sports, these numbers will increase and as well as more sport offerings as in the future. Sorry, that is difficult to see. Elementary, year to year, or since 2021 after COVID, we introduced a couple more offerings. We went from co-ed basketball to boys and girls basketball as another option for schools who are able to field both a boys and girls team. We established some wrestling pipelines where elementary students were now able to come and train at the high school level. And then, of course, cross country has been a signature piece. We dipped below 1,000 for the first time in 3 years, but this year we're well over 1,000 runners this year. So we're still staying on track with that piece. Flag football and elementary football is through a partnership with PAL, and those numbers are all adding to the participation number, doubling over the past couple of years. But I'm happy to say that the boys and girls component continues to grow. More schools are now identifying, or more girls, honestly, that are willing to come out and try to play the sport. But I'm happy to say these numbers will inflate pretty shortly as we plan accordingly. So I'm proud to bring this to the table. Dr. Daniel challenged me over a year ago on exploring the possibilities of establishing pipelines through athletics. So the athletic pipeline strategy, the overarching goal is to empower the high school head coach and then implement strategic developmental plans for all respective pipelines, creating lower level developmental leagues and edify education-based athletics for students 1 through 8. Our athletes in this state are we have the most athletic athletes in the state comparable to Indianapolis. We have phenomenal athletes, but we don't have a lot of developmental and skilled athletes. We rely on 2 to 3 individuals to run the team and score, win games, but then when we compete against other entities that have more of a developmental process, who understand the fundamentals and the basics, you know, we may hang in there first, second quarter, third quarter, but fourth quarter, those skills and the developmental wins. Through this strategy, we will look to identify at an early age any student athlete who is interested in a particular sport to be developed in skills through a sequential developmental plan from first grade all the way to 8th grade. This will provide opportunities for students to be exposed to sports earlier, but also add the education-based premise to align education directly to our athletes at an early age to set a different expectation. We have a lot of third parties, and we have relied on a lot of travel entities or AAU teams to develop our kids externally, but then when they come back to us, they don't fully understand the ramifications if you don't pass a class, which goes back to what we were discussing earlier. So a lot of people are attracted to our kids because they are athletic. They compete, and they travel, they take them around, and then when they're done, they're back with us, and we have to pick up the pieces and try to support them to make sure they get to the next level. Through these processes, we will look to strengthen and edify the vertical articulation piece and keeping kids in our own pipeline and their pipeline. So if I'm a first grader and I'm interested in football and I'm in Northrop's pipeline, I'm a little Bruin from the time I'm in the first grade until I graduate and go to college. So our marketing will be to market our high schools to make sure that that young man and that young lady visualize themselves as a Bruin, as a general, as an archer, as a legend, as a Panther, from the moment they walk into our buildings. This strategy will also retain student athletes from potentially leaving our district. We all know athletes like to jump ship. We all know athletes like to go to wherever the best sauce is being cooked. What we have to do is make sure that we have the real remedy, and we build relationships not just at the high school level, but as soon as they enter into our doors. The relationship piece is very important, especially athlete to coach. So our athletes from the first grade on will have access to the head coach at the high school level. We will also attract and enroll students from different districts. So now you don't have to pay thousands of dollars to be trained by a third-party entity. You could be trained from the time you walk in the first grade all on through with the same kids that you'll be going to high school with for a matter of at minimum 10 years.
Virgil, in your opinion, what school districts have developed a very strong athletic pipeline?
I would say particular sports, definitely in Indy, where a lot of my data came from, a lot of townships, and they have a very strong pipelines. DeKalb, if you look at basketball, in particular girls basketball, Warsaw, those girls it's a reason why they go semi-state and state consistently year over year. So there's a lot there, but this is the first time that a district has taken this on as a task.
So what is the new IHSAA rule with transfers going to do to developing a pipeline? I hear so much talk on social media about our schools becoming the basketball superpower or the football superpower, and I don't know if you buy into that or not. And do you see that happening?
I think that will happen in pockets. As a district, we will push away from that because now that has been done also in Indy, where they try to specialize schools per sport. And what eventually happened is people left the district because now this school here is a powerhouse in football, and I want to play there, but I can't get in. So I'm not going to go to a school D over here that barely has an offensive line. I'll leave the city. I'll go somewhere where I know I can play, and we know our athletes will travel regardless of city proximity to play.
I would say you're also going to see NIL.
Oh, heck yes.
So it's already here, but you're going to see that as well. That's why, as we looked at feeder systems and developing programs first through 12th grade, we've got to get in this game, no pun intended. We've got to get in this game. We have to be, instead of our kids traveling, why aren't we the hub? And even talking with the mayor about this a bit, you know, if there is a future of downtown Fort Wayne where that's a hub of, why aren't we the number one customers?
Well, so I run into Maria every once in a while at the gym on Lima Road, and it's a very snug facility now with 8 courts, I believe. And the facility, they're looking at downtown is modeled after what Gainesville, Florida has, where they have 12 basketball courts, an indoor track, and facilities for other types of things. We can be that city with that.
I think we could be.
I don't know where you travel on the weekends, but I know my grandkids are traveling to Columbus, Cincinnati, Dayton, Sandusky, which is their favorite, and they come here. But I'll tell you, in a couple of years, we're going to be a well-known place with a quality field house for traveling teams.
So the attraction has to be, why can't Fort Wayne Community Schools be the flagship district for athletics? To where regardless if you're playing football, you're a wrestler, you run track. We have everything here for us, a one-stop shop.
Virgil, who's going to be doing the elementary coaching, as we call it, or implementation? You know, traditionally we don't have elementary teachers / coaches. Where are they coming from?
Right now, currently we're initiating the football pipeline, and then wrestling will come after. Then we have basketball in the spring. So right now we are looking at recruiting. We are in a community that's full of football coaches. We can't be content in just having a warm body in place. That's kind of what we've done in the past. When we couldn't find someone, we'll just ask someone to fill in the gap.
Yes.
We can no longer, if we're going to operate in excellence and maximize our potential, we have to be intentional in who we put in front of our kids. And until we do that, we're just going to keep on doing the same thing over and over again. It's time that we take a stand and we find the right people to put in front of our kids. Now, I love teachers because they understand the pedagogy.
Who makes that decision? Who makes that hiring decision?
The hiring decision will be...
The high school, you?
So we're not hiring elementary. We can't afford that unless we can find multiple sources of, and we do have to fundraise. There's no doubt about that. So volunteers who are being trained by varsity coaches, which means we have to elevate coaches to where they understand it's a 1 through 12th grade program. And I think my takeaway from the group that Virgil's gathered, i.e. the football coaches, we have to start with something first. So let's start with something and then work forward. So what I heard from the football coaches, and I asked them point blank, are you ready to own this? Because this is 1 through 12 now. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Now, we've got to think differently because we've got to find funding from either alumni or from our vendors, others that are going to contribute because we can't. So, i.e., here's a question. We have, I believe, 4 assistant football coaches and 1 varsity?
Correct.
And they have basically 3 teams. We have one varsity middle school coach and an assistant coach.
2 assistants.
2 assistants. So what is it, and I asked that question of the football coaches, what is it that you need? Well, we really could use 8, but we maybe will take 6. Because if you think of the specialization that happens, if you're really going to coach these kids, it takes some specialized coaching. And as such, it takes fairly high level. So who's going to own that? Varsity coach has to own it. But they also have to have assistants. And middle school has to have a focus, i.e. we need a 6th grade team, not a team that shares some of a halftime with the 8th grade. And we're wondering why we're not getting a return on our athletes as far as their performance and as far. Those days are gone if we're going to be competitive in today's marketplace. So
yes,
that's, it's a win-win situation, I think. It's a win-win for our athletes. It's a win-win for our school district because, quite frankly, kids now shop. Parents shop.
Yes.
And if we're going to be in that market, you want to come to a place where you basically have winning programs. And we can't just have one winning program. You sort of alluded to that. We need to have multiple winning programs. Yes. We're in several different, right now Northrop's 6A, right?
Yes.
Snyder's 6A right now, but could be in 5A. We also have 4A.
Yes.
I mean, wouldn't it be marvelous if we were starting to compete at the semi-state, state level, 4, 5, and 6A? Just football. Plus, you can't just have a single athletes. If they're wanting to be Division I athletes, and this is coming right from Notre Dame's coach, you better run track. That's why track's important. You better run track if you're going to compete in football and basketball. Now, if you're doing wrestling, okay, you need 2 sport athletes, though. The day of the 3-sport athlete are probably gone, fewer and fewer of those.
Yes.
But that's because you got 707, you got traveling, you got all those other things that are taken away from that focus on, hey, I want to be a football, basketball, I'm just using that as an example, football, basketball, track, or football, basketball, baseball, whatever, if I'm talking boys, but same thing with the girls' sports too, though. You know, you got volleyball travel, you got basketball travel, you got softball travel, I mean, holy cow. But I still don't understand why we would want our athletes to travel all across the Midwest when they could be housed right here. Right. The cost of that alone is prohibitive for, I mean, I didn't do it with my kids. I said, nope, not going to do it. If you're going to make the team, if you're good enough, if you're not, you're not. And so it was what it was. So, but I'll say that we did have one that we actually traveled with a little bit. All right, full disclosure.
Your youngest one?
The youngest one. Yeah, she got to travel a little bit, but I'm thinking, okay, what are we doing? Because what I heard, we're playing the same teams. It's just different places. Yes. It's like, why are we doing this? Why isn't Fort Wayne the hub? So I agree with the mayor. I think we have potential in Fort Wayne to step up and own some of that market. And what's unique about Fort Wayne is that you have large cities within a 200-mile radius. Yeah. So we can pull from a lot of different directions. Yes. But bottom line is, we've got to figure out how our varsity coaches are going to teach our middle school coaches, are going to teach our volunteer elementary coaches. Because we can't make that work. But are you going to go into that a bit? Are you going to talk about that? You have a slide on the football thing where you are right now?
No, I just...
You can talk about it. Okay. So tell them a little bit where you are with PAL football and with Metro and that phenomenon. Again, this is just an example. You got to start someplace, right? So first place first. And we are now going to start very soon actively finding fund, being very intentional in regards to our fundraising. I would love to have $1 million per feeder system. I'd love to have $1 million per feeder system. So that helps with coaching, that helps with volunteers, that helps with
equipment,
that
facilities uses.
Yeah.
Our community members are passionate about athletics.
Yes.
You just find the right community member and line them to the sport you want, and you'll find the funding.
Find the funding.
There's a lot of opportunity through these pipelines, a lot of exposure, a lot of marketing opportunities. So I do see this as an attraction to a lot of organizations, not just football or sports-oriented partnerships, but just as a whole. When this is up and running and these pipelines are running, we will have the largest youth program in the country. I have no doubts about that.
That's pretty big thinking. I would also say there are youth programs that are looking for how can they partner with us. So PAL football is one of those. Virgil, explain a little bit what you're doing, because you can imagine what it costs to have football gear, recondition the helmets and all that. Julie knows all about that sort of thing. It's not cheap. So you have to have some partners that are going to do that with us. And I think you do, don't you?
Yes, it's not a done deal, so I won't give the full...
Don't give full details. But maybe.
But there's a lot of opportunities for a lot of our existing partners to still be a part of this movement. They are looking at evaluating some of their offerings of how they, instead of having direct programming through this particular sport, but trying to support entities that are moving in the direction of what we will say is more of a clean football developmental plan. So we'll be using, in particular for football, USA Football as a baseline for teaching our coaches and evaluating football players, as well as girls flag that will be adjacent to traditional football. We had a phenomenal year this past year, and our first year having flag football this past fall. And on the next slide, I'll talk on it, but since we're talking about flag, our district had the first girl in the state of Indiana receive a scholarship for flag football at the collegiate level in Indiana. The Indianapolis Colts wanted to recognize her, so they sent her to Green Bay, Wisconsin, this past weekend for the NFL draft. She was supposed to announce the first round draft pick for the Colts, but because the draft pick wasn't there, they kept her in the back while she was holding the jersey. So the Commissioner, Roger Goodell, continued and announced it was Tyler Warren from Penn State, the tight end. But she, all expenses paid, was able to experience the whole NFL draft through the opportunities that we brought to our kids.
Who is this young lady?
Nevaeh Parker,
From what high school?
Northside High School senior. She'll be going to St. Francis. Girls flag will be an NCAA sport probably in 2 years. NIIA is currently hosting it as a collegiate sport and giving scholarships for those right now. As of now, we've had 3 girls receive scholarships for girls flag since the fall. The pipeline is creating a lot of buzz around the community. We're also seeing other school districts follow suit, which also creates other possibilities. But one thing that we cannot overlook is our athletes, our star athletes, they're going to travel. They're going to go to AAU. But what about that bell curve? What about that 65% that gets overlooked or doesn't come out because they didn't make the team in 4th grade, so they dismissed basketball for here on out? This is a way for us to keep them connected. This is a way to keep them involved all the way through their career and have a good experience athletically. And we know the more our kids are involved in programming, the better they excel in the classroom. Last slide here, maybe. There we go. Some more notable changes. Looking at facility upgrades, new sport offerings, and equipment upgrades. The investment in sports have been huge. I also believe that this is part of the excitement around being a part of programming. That's why students are coming out and staying with it. The investment, the resources and equipment is changing the platform for us. Track in particular, this year, track equipment was delivered. It's been well past due. With this, we looked at high ticket items that a lot of our schools struggled to obtain or sustain, and provided those resources. In particular, football and track are the high equipment pieces, but also not overlooking the smaller participating groups like tennis and golf, having simulators, golf simulators in our high school to make sure that we're assisting our golf programs. As easy as buying just tennis ball machines. Our tennis coaches this spring have been ecstatic. It's almost like Christmas to them. But really looking at each entity as it's on market and seeing what exactly they need to be sustainable as well as prominent. The new sport offerings, girls wrestling and high school girls flag are the 2 fastest growing sports in America. And making sure our girls have those opportunities and just ability to go and try. And as we see, even in the video, the young lady who played tennis, who said she just learned how to bench press, just received a scholarship from Indiana Tech to wrestle in her first year of wrestling. And so all these different pieces connect to address the holistic development of the athlete. And as we continue working with Darren and his group in our facilities to make it more attractive for people to come and stop by and walk into our stadiums. The Jumbotrons, where I know there's a lot of controversy around, will attract so many people because now we have that shiny new Corvette that everybody yearns for. And so next couple years, I look for our numbers to continue to increase as we have a good foundation, in particular for that education-based address of how we pursue our student athletes and making sure that we at least allow our students the opportunity to excel at the next level, whether that be through skill or academic support.
So I'd add one other thing. Right now we're only talking sports, but we're also talking performing arts. We're talking the programs that also would benefit from how do we expand. I look at Be Instrumental. I look at the partnership with the Pearl Arts. I look at free lessons for our kids and whatever their grade may be. So we're seeing an increase in that participation as well. You may have received something that we've had record-breaking participation in our instrumental programs. Well, again, students are seeing, I mean, we can even see the quality of the students that are now performing in front of us. Just think what it was several years ago. Now listen to them. And again, it's anything that I will say is competitive, anything that is, we have some unbelievable jazz programs, we have unbelievable marching band programs. Yes, we probably need to see what we can do for some of our other programs to get them to another level. But again, when I say feeder systems, it supports all co-curriculars. We're just talking about one segment right now, and that's his job. So, but it also needs to get into other co-curriculars. Robotics, for instance. Remember esports. Esports didn't quite kick off, but we still have pretty strong esports. But we have robotics in every school now, and they can go because of Doug Horner. Again, thank you, Doug Horner. But you think about that, wow. You have, in my opinion, in today's world, you have to have things that draw kids because it's quality. You're able to see another level. Students recognize that, parents recognize that, and we had one student that was offered a job, soon to be graduating student from one of our high schools, and he's starting out at $59,000 coding programming. Would never have happened if he hadn't had the experience he had with a particular internship. But again, those experiences, and I have to say, that's part of what we did with the general obligation bond. That's where you're getting this funding. It is now you have to figure out how to sustain it. We've got a baseline. Now we have to figure out how to sustain it, and it can't come from the education fund or the operation fund, because those dollars, you cannot rely on those dollars. You have to go above and beyond what the state is giving us, because we need that to go into classrooms to support teachers. So, anybody have questions of Virgil?
How quickly are we going to move it to where we're seeing this with more female opportunities? Because, I mean, I get the football focus, and then we move down to basketball, which is some, but then we have a lot of other sports that we're going to be. So and if you are a parent or somebody who has a passion with your child in a sport that's in our elementary, who do they contact so that they can help with this programming?
Right now, the head coaches are compiling coaches, volunteers, or potential people for their own staff. But the female opportunities, we have girls, the traditional football as well as the girls flag. We have boys wrestling, girls basketball, boys basketball. Track is both gender as well. As we move forward and perfect these models, I think that's when we'll be able to move to softball, baseball, and other programmings of that like that, as well as can exclude golf or tennis. But we have seen a lot of female tennis players in the past years. Really need to, and each, like I said before, each team sport is its own market. It has its own following, it has its own demands, and really understanding what is needed to make sure it's successful and sustainable. It's more than just throwing a particular piece of paper at it. You need to evaluate it, we need to assess it, and make sure we have the right investors, stakeholders involved. But building this model is going to be important as we move the pipeline to other sports. And it's really testing the market to see where's that low-hanging fruit. But also locally, who can also assist with that expertise, which is also highly important, and making sure we have the right people in front of our kids.
Right, because I know that we lose kids starting 3rd to 4th grade when those parents and those students are just kind of deciding which way they go. So the more offerings we can offer them in elementary and put those experienced head coaches in front of them, showing them teams that want to move forward, we need to do that. And we need to make sure we have the right people in those spots to do that. And so I'll be looking towards this model for football and those experts that are there and the Tipmans that are leading those teams and our other coaches that are leading those teams. And I want to see that in our head coaches all across the board.
Correct.
So that we can have the excellence that we deserve and our kids deserve right here in our schools. They don't need to go anywhere else.
We need to make sure our head coaches are the right head coaches, and that we have the right resources around them to either build them up to be it or find the right people who can steer the ship. We got to get away from the warm bodies.
Yep.
Please. Thank you.
Well, and when it comes to that, I would like to see us do more in the realm of professional development for coaches.
Yes.
You know, whether it's, in whatever form that is, and I don't think you can put it all on, the head coaches of a particular sport, but we've got to help organize that. But I think there need to be some supports for volunteers or members of the community or our own teachers who are interested in going into coaching.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am.
In most sports, and I know even the smaller sports at the NCAA level in Indiana put on clinics that we need to support our coaches to going to those, because I don't know that in the past we have. And I know it's a funding issue. I know that it's a time issue. But if you're going to develop a program and you want to be that head coach, you're going to have to commit to that because that's what we're expecting you to do.
So that was another conversation we had with the varsity football coaches. It needs to be, this is Fort Wayne Community School football. Whether you're at school A or school Z, doesn't matter. So the question was, and you look at, we have experts within our own organization or have been part of our organization, and they ask the question, what happens if the coach doesn't follow the Fort Wayne Community School way? Guess that's not the coach. And we need to be able to say that because that's our expectation. This is Fort Wayne Community School football. It's about the vision that he put up there at the very beginning. It's about developing a character, integrity, academics, as well as the potential of an athlete. So with that in mind, that's what we're interested in. And that means, I'm not going to tell you the offense, but there are some very basic fundamentals. And there are also the basic things that you do to treat an athlete and how you work with an athlete. Again, yeah, we want to motivate and inspire, but we also don't want to be abusive. Right. So that's what we're after.
Yes.
And I'm seeing progress in that we're seeing progress. But now it's how do we go out and find the funds to support co-curriculars across the board.
And to reiterate, you said something similar is going on with band and choir and music and robotics and other esports.
Because again, you look at the number of participants we have in marching band.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the number of participants we now have in instrumental music. Maybe we need to look a little bit on vocal and doing some things in that. But again, principles, where are we in that discussion? How can we make that happen? But even in robotics, wow, you can only have X number of kids actually on the floor during the competition, but you have a lot of interaction with the kids, and it's the whole part, the strength of of athletics and co-curricular programs, it's that teaming that takes place. I mean, that's where the kids really get their
That's how you get to buy
get the benefits. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that leads us to board member comments.
Well,
Steve?
first of all, I wanted to thank and apologize the delegation from Fairfield Elementary School who have now sat through the longest board meeting of the year. Sandra Bowe should have told you to wear your pajamas. I don't know if she's punishing you to be here, but we're glad that you're here. You're now experts in how we buy bread, milk, approved trips to overseas countries, and we just appreciate you being here and what you do every day for our students at Fairfield Elementary, so thank you. Virgil, so glad that you're the athletic director. I argued for years that we needed somebody like you to be in the district. I came from Gary, Indiana, where we always had an athletic director, and we had outstanding programs in basketball and track for a number of years. So glad to see what you're doing, and leads me to also talk about our latest prized athlete being drafted by the New York Giants, Darius Alexander. And there was a post from one of his teachers, Lindsay Underwood, who talked about his selection will probably lead her to buy her first football jersey. But she said she talked about Darius as a student. He is one of the most humble, kind, and hardworking young men I have ever had in the classroom. He also helped me keep the class in check at all times. He's a big guy. But ironically, he's going to the Giants, and if you recall, many of you were at our Latinos Count lunch last fall.
Oh, that's right.
And our speaker works for the New York Giants, John Paul Gonzalez. He's the guy that players can go into on Tuesday after the game and spill their guts about whatever's on their mind that has nothing to do with football. You know, these are young men of 23, 24, probably too many girlfriends and too much money. And anyway, so we've been working on Darius and his family. Helen Tobo's been knows Darius. And so we're going to get John Paul and Darius to have a conversation this week about what life is like in the National Football League. So hope that works out. Just very briefly, I just wanted to talk about the Indiana General Assembly and one specific bill that will force people, my colleagues, to run as a political candidate. I wanted to thank Senator Liz Brown for voting against the bill. She said that there really was no problem in the districts in Allen County, and she's absolutely correct. We don't play politics here. We do what's best for kids. But there are communities where this is going to cause problems. And I can't think of anything worse than politics and political parties that divide, not unite communities. And so it's a sad day. There's a reason why 41 states have school board elections on a nonpartisan basis. We're no longer one of them. And it's a very sad day. You know, what really brings communities and school districts together are teams, winning teams. You know, you can think about those teams that go to the state and the positive enthusiasm that is so infectious in those schools. That's what brings communities and school districts together, not political parties. I'll stop there.
No comment.
I got to do my reading, Steve, at Abbott Elementary to a second grade class, and I picked Trying Not to Hate Math. Trying Not to Hate Math. I thought that was an appropriate book for me to read, but they were a good group, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But just to echo your comments about the Indiana General Assembly, this was a rather depressing session. To me, it almost feels as though they've used up all their good ideas, they moved on to their somewhat reasonable ideas, and now they've just got now they're approving the crummy ones. Or the mean ones. I mean, that's the way it seems to me. There were certainly winners and losers in this session, and I'll just point out one, that in the when the General Assembly found out that that revenue was going to be $2 billion short over the next 2 years, they decided to approve vouchers for the wealthiest Indiana families, so that there is no, any family can get a voucher no matter what their wealth is. And on the flip side of that, they decided to lower the eligibility threshold for a child care.
On my way. On my way.
I want to say voucher, but it's a child care.
Yeah.
So that completely opposite end. And not only that, they also cut a program in Indiana that is designed to reduce homelessness. So it makes you wonder, well, I'll just say it clarifies their priorities.
Thanks, Julie. No.
Well, they basically have all said what I want to say. Thank you for sitting through this. Thanks to Liz Brown on that vote in particular. Congratulations to Darius and his pick by the Giants, 3rd round. Also, congratulations to Bam Scott Martin, a recent graduate of Snyder High School, who signed a free agent contract with the Carolina Panthers. So we're wishing him the best. To get more specific about what Julie commented on the last budget cycle, which is 2023, the legislature expanded voucher usage to 400% above the median, 400% above the poverty level for families that get a voucher. So that was $220,000 for a family of 4. This year they took it out completely after originally Senator Ryan Mitchell, the head of the budget group, pulled it out because of concerns for funding. But as Julie pointed in, at the end of the day, it went back in, and to be specific, the On My Way Pre-K was lowered from 150% above poverty level to 135%. So it got harder to receive those funding, which is a critical source for a district like ours, who believes pre-K is very important. I'll shut up after that. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you to the teachers who are here, and Sandra and everybody else. Kathy, I see you all. I see you all sitting here. Thank you so much. I know it's a long evening. I did want to include just a couple more off the personnel report that don't normally get recognized, but one just happens to be a good friend of mine, and my kids have grown up with her. But we had a couple assistant principal changes, and Emily Hull from Weiser Park to the school year assistant principal. It looks like Christina Bishop to Tolles for a school year assistant, but then also to Sharita Tatnall, who I've known for a very long time. She's now coming from a building coach at Levon Scott to a school year principal as well. So as we announced all the principals tonight, those assistant principals at all of our schools are very important as well, and we all know that. But I did want to just recognize them and say congratulations to everyone, as I'm pretty sure all of those who were in here filling our room are out there celebrating now, and I'm glad for you. I hope you saved me something to eat. I echo all of my board members in the disappointment that we had for our state legislators. I do thank Liz Brown for voting against 287. That was a one vote. However, if it would have tied, we probably would have known the same outcome, as our lieutenant governor would have had to voted for that as the tie. We work hard with our legislators every session to do the best that we can to get more for us. As you see, we're doing great things in our schools. And as I mentioned before, that there are passionate people and community members who do support the work that we do. And it's just that much, it's a different ballgame nowadays. We're going to have to go working with our community partners to support us more. We want to continue these great programs, the pipelines for athletics, the pipelines for performing arts, and our academics and robotics and everything that we have. And I too thank Doug Horner, who was a classmate of mine, for everything that he's done to bring, that's a new possibility out in our world, that a career that did not necessarily exist when any of us were sitting here. And there are tons of those opportunities to come. We need you. We need our community to show our students those opportunities and then help support us. If it's not going to come from our state, it's going to have to come from our community. And I really encourage all of our community members to get involved and help support our students. Thank you.
So, similar to what Jennifer was saying, we had the CEO of Junior Achievement here last Friday, and he spoke with our high school principals, our school success steering team, and basically they said there are really 3 school districts in the entire country that they would love to showcase, and we're one of them. So as we were talking about what was happening in our state, the response was, well, it's now time for you to look at national foundations that can support what we do. And I think that's what you're saying. Yes, we can rely on our state to provide us with fundamental funding, but if we're going to go above and beyond, that relies on us. And that means we have to find public-private partnerships. So again, that's our task at hand. I think that's what our mission will be moving forward. And when that begins to happen, because we're seeing some phenomenal data coming forward. I can just say that one of our high schools, seniors, saw 1.4 growth in GPA. And we'll probably see something, well, I know we'll see once this semester is over, which, again, wow, May 21st, folks. It's right around the corner. So teachers, it's May 20. So hang in there, hang in there. But May 21st is going to be here, graduation's coming, and we'll start to see data that I think we're going to be very, very excited about. That when we go to make pitches to foundations, why wouldn't you want to support an educational system that's producing these kinds of outcomes? So that's sort of where I am today, and hopefully we can figure out those partnerships and make that happen sooner than later. Again, supporting what's happening in the classroom, supporting what's happening in our pre-K programming. And I did speak to some people this morning, so we do have state people that are contacting us right now in regards to our pre-K, saying, okay, yes, go after this, go after this, go after this. And we had a phenomenal turnout for our pre-K, what do we call it, what's it called? Passport to pre-K. Phenomenal turnout. And we ramped up the application process right then and there with our partners to ensure that our parents were sending in an application so they could get On My Way pre-K dollars. Second of all, we're also partnering with both the YMCA and it's called Champions, but I'll just say before care and after care services for our families. And again, being very proactive in helping our families with those applications. So yes, you know your child's going to have before care, you're going to have a day of, whether it be pre-K if they're 4-year-olds or whatever schooling all the way through. And I think we're going to focus on just pre-K through 5 right now, right? So it's elementary schools. We're not yet into the middle schools. So we're looking at pre-K through 5. But if that happens, again, another benefit for our community, because now mom and dad can work and they don't have to worry about the care of their child. So it's affordable. So knock on wood, a lot of positive things happening. And yes, I'd also like to send a shout out to Senator Brown.
Nice. Okay, it is late. Thank you all for being here and smiling and laughing at some jokes that aren't that funny at this point. I will keep my comments brief. Thank you to Mr. Platt from Northrop and Principal Swinford for inviting me to be a judge at their Northrop Family Art Show. It was amazing, and I'm always so honored to be asked to do that. And then I think it was last year, we approved 2 of our teachers to get the Lilly Endowment for Teachers. And Miss Patton McFerrin, I saw all your beautiful pictures. I think it was El Salvador that you got to travel to, but all of her work will be on display, and I gave you all invitations to it. They're actually doing student artwork as well from Whitney Young, and so that's going to be at our Allen County Public Library from April 26th through June 14th. So, and the opening reception is Saturday, May 3rd from 3 to 5. So very excited to see pictures from their travels and do more student artwork. Someone asked me if I had a comment with regard to Bill 287, and I will share what I sent in my email to probably 35 senators and people in Indianapolis. Like Steve mentioned, we don't have the problems that South Bend and Indianapolis see in their school board elections. They had private funders coming in, and it just got really ugly. We've never had that in Fort Wayne, and hopefully we never will. My real comment is that running for office isn't easy. You definitely put yourself out there. You have to go knock on people's doors. You have to raise money, all the things. It's not easy. A lot of people are intimidated by the entire process. A lot of school board members are just overly involved parents who are like, I love my school district. I want to be involved. How can I help? Join the school board. I think that Bill 287 will keep a lot of those people who were maybe a little bit intimidated, but we could have probably pushed them over the edge and got them to, join the team, like we've been saying tonight. And I think that Bill 287 will scare a lot of regular people, parents, community members from running for school board. And that's sad. And I really hate the fact that 2 cities had to ruin it for everybody. But thank you to Senator Brown for voting against the bill. I appreciate that. But yeah, it's an interesting time in public education. I will say, and I challenge all public school districts in Indiana, as Dr. Daniel mentioned, seeking national or funding from national organizations. I think that it's time for public education, school districts in Indiana to stand up and share all the great things that we're doing in our state. Time and time again, they try to, throw us a curveball, and we always rise to the occasion. We do great things for our students. So I think that we need to, we're already the most popular with 90% of Hoosier families selecting to send their students to public school. So we're already the choice. Now let's show everybody why we are the choice and get some support from Indianapolis. So, and with that, I will be done. Is there a... Thanks. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Holy...